कालीकूर्चसमायुक्तमायाकूटोपदेशतः प्रणवार्थप्रबोधिन्यौ नमामि गुरुपादुके श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः क्रीं मात्रे नमः नमस्सदसे. Namaskaram to one and all. We are continuing on with the comments of Kailashi, and there are a lot of things happening in the channel, starting with there will be continuous interviews from Ms. Kalpalata Janardhan and Janardhan ji as well regarding Nityananda. Apart from that, we are processing some videos from great and ancient yogi of India who is currently serving in Russia by name Swami Vishnu Datta, and his Purvashrama name is Dr. Vadaraj Dattacharya, and he is from India and he is settled in Russia right now. So he is going to give a lot of Ayurvedic and traditional remedies, home based remedies. So that series is also going to happen. Then Tattva Bodha is going on. In Tamil, I have started a series for social awareness of Hindus based on a book written by Ramagopalan ji, who is one of the pioneers of the Hindutva movements in Tamil Nadu. So all these things are happening, and I really do not want this channel just to become some channel for criticizing Nityananda. That is not the purpose of the channel. This is for revival and for realization about our dharma and about our nature, the true nature of the Sanatana Dharma, and the actual ways in which the dharma can be approached. So I would really appreciate it if everybody watching the videos of Nityananda can give equal support as well to all the other attempts that are being made in the channel. With that request in place, let us start with the 61st comment of Kailashi. Back in 2003-2004, I was helping Nityananda in the Galleria. In those days, we had limited items. One book was so captivating, I can't remember the name of the book. The cover would be Nityananda sitting with Arunachala hills in the background. It is somewhere with me, Kailashi is saying. Nityananda has directed us not to upsell that particular book. In fact, he asked to burn all of them. I was curious as to why. Later, I came to know that the title Paramahamsa was there before his name, and in the book he has cited that Mahavatar Babaji was the one who has coronated him as Paramahamsa. So there was a problem going on because of this with Shaivite groups in Tamil Nadu, and a legal suit was he might face a legal suit if he continued to use the title Paramahamsa. So he abandoned the title Paramahamsa, and after that for many years he really never called himself as Paramahamsa but referred to himself as Swamiji. He would ask people to refer to him as only Swami Nityananda. Then he told reasons like, I wanted to be close to my disciples, so I am abandoning my title of Paramahamsa, etc. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was the last known Paramahamsa of India, and he was coronated, he was given this title by Master Totapuri. So there are so many misconceptions here regarding the outside information which I would like to clear up. First of all, I am saying this for I do not know third or fourth time in my videos. I even have strong doubts on the authenticity of Mahavatar Babaji, of that character, of that entity called Mahavatar Babaji himself. As far as from what I can see, many tales which are, many legends and histories which are supposed to be genuine about Mahavatar Babaji, they have not aged well. For example, him being the teacher of Adi Shankara, to teach Adi Shankara Kriya Kundalini, and then him being the guru of Jesus Christ when he came to India. All of these things, when those stories were created during the 1950s, 1940s, at that time all of these things were considered to be very genuine information because of some lesser clarity in history. But when clarity in history is happening through the scientific method, through the authentic analysis, logical analysis, we can understand that some of these myths which are related to Mahavatar Babaji, which were narrated during that time, they actually do not hold water when we are looking at the actual proven history. So based on this, I think he could have been an analogy. He could have been an analogy of an ancient, timeless Hindu yogi, Hindu guru, who is willing to give you knowledge if you have the longing. So this could be the analogy, but that analogy got carried away, and it gathered a lot of physical substance over the time. And as far as I am concerned, many people may differ with me on this, but Paramahamsa Yogananda, who wrote Autobiography of a Yogi, is as much of a yoga merchant as Nityananda is. Even though he may not have fallen to the levels of criminality of Nityananda, I consider all the yoga merchants one and the same. The level of commercializing and the level of criminality may differ from person to person, but essentially those who are not from a lineage, those who are commercializing spirituality, those who want to give it on a large scale, I seriously have doubts about each and every person that is doing this. For example, let us say, this is a controversial topic once again. Many people think that I am pro Isha. I have been in Isha for some time as a volunteer, and I have been a practitioner for some time. So people think that I am absolutely in support with Sadhguru Jagi Vasudev or Isha organization. I am only against Nityananda. This is the conception of many people. But I would like to break away from that right now, right here in this video, to make it clear. Because as far as I am concerned, anybody, any guru who is organizing, who is not spending time with a student directly, whatever reason he might say, if the direct care of the guru is not there with the disciple, then I think it is a business venture. It is like, any other franchisee, McDonald's or Kentucky Fried Chicken, like that. So many schools are being started, so many people are being given the responsibility to go ahead and teach yoga. That is fine. But if there can be some sort of direct connection that is established with a master, that is the difference. When we say guru is the God in the human form, then it means you have to relate with that person in the human form. You have to speak to him. He have to be in the physical presence. He has to speak to you. He has to be in your physical presence. All these things should happen. Only then the statement that God is a guru in the living form has meaning. If anybody is giving Diksha on video, if anybody is initiating you with a recorded video, and if some other Acharya is teaching you stuff, all these things, all these repetitive classes, trying to give you some spiritual practice with a 7-day class or a 3-day class or a 20-day class, whatever. All of those things telling you that this is going to be your complete sadhana. If you practice this, you are going to be enlightened or you are going to be whatever. So this kind of a setup is actually not agreeable as far as yoga is concerned, because the discipline of yoga has to happen little by little in you. It cannot be like, you go, you get the initiation, you come back and you start doing the practice, you are going to be enlightened. That is not true. Certain amount of mental preparation, psychological preparation and physical preparation has to happen in order to achieve the full effects. Now people may argue, no, we are achieving the full effect of yoga. It is not like that. It is not just our mental illusion or anything. My diabetes got cured and my sleeplessness got cured by doing this practice. Yes, all that is fine. You are going through the movement and it is working on the energy level. There is no doubt about it. But what I am saying is, if it is only going to be the vidya, if it is only going to be the technique with nothing else attached to it, then whatever you are saying is correct. But there is a position of elation that is being given to the guru whom you have never met during the class. The possibility of meeting him in person, you have to do a program for 4 years or 5 years, then that will happen. Otherwise, he will be sitting on a stage in one huge program with crores and lakhs of people, and you will be a part of that. You will get a darshan of the guru. So these things, please do not equate this to the actual organic spirituality where the guru is like a father to the disciple. Whatever acharyas I have been through, I have been in their home, done service for them, including my own guru. I have done service for them. I have shown them direct obedience. I have shown them, I have bared myself to show them all my errors and all my mistakes, all my shortcomings. They have seen that. Then they have remedied certain of them, certain shortcomings and certain mistakes, and they have asked me to come out of certain things. They have personally guided my life, and only then they have given me the practices. I have shown that I am worth to get this practice. What is your worth as a student of any of these organized institutions of yoga? What have you done to prove yourself as worthy to get that vidya, to get that technique, to get that education, spiritual education from that particular master? Nothing but the payment for the class. Correct? So this is the problem, and this problem has to be dealt with in a much severe manner right now, because this is becoming a huge wave. I am not telling the entire thing is wrong. I am only saying you must understand that this is only secondary, second class. The first class or the highest level of spiritual experience cannot be achieved through this. This is only like ad hoc or substitute or anything like that. If you are unable to find a master who can be with you personally, who can take care of you personally like a father, if you have not been blessed for that, then you can go for this, no problems. But please do not even for a moment think that this is equal to that spirituality. That is not going to happen. Whatever purva punya you might have, whatever previous life sadhana you had, based on that you may get many results, even better results than a yogi who is practicing day in and day out for 12 years. That is different. But that and all is permutation and combination, rare case scenario. But for the common public, the practice that they are getting, if they are thinking that it is a physical exercise, it is going to be a energy level exercise, that is fine. But the faith, blind faith on the guru, on the master head of the organization, that is always dangerous, and that is what is spoiling so many good teachers of yoga and converting them into enlightened masters, godmen, whatever. So that being said, regarding the title Paramahamsa, who is a Paramahamsa? A Paramahamsa is a person. There are so many definitions given here, so many qualifications involved there, but my favorite qualification is this: a Paramahamsa is a person who has undergone the process of discrimination or viveka, and he is able to separate the truth from the unreal at any given point of time in his life, and also he is able to create this experience and ability in the disciples. So not just Totapuri Maharaj. The title of Paramahamsa was conferred on Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Swamiji, Guruji, by so many people, like Vaishnav Charan Maharaj, Brahmini Bairagini, and Totapuri Maharaj. All of these people, they came again and again and they confirmed this title time and again. And another thing here is this Paramahamsa title. When you are using this title, not only Paramahamsa, Parivarajaka, this was another title that he was using, and that is what the Hindu association, Saivite associations of Tamil Nadu took umbrage to, because they said you simply cannot claim this title without having a lineage. Saying Mahavatar Babaji gave me this title, all these things is not acceptable. Either come to a panel of Shaivite monks, come into our panel and prove your knowledge, or leave the title. This was the situation that was created, and there might be a legal suit. Yes, it is possible. So this was the situation that was created, and then he dropped that title. Now the Parama Shivam suffix that is added at the end of his name is to resemble the Adinam system, because he wanted to have an Adinam after being kicked away from one Adinam. Now he has captured another Adinam illegally, and he has installed his niece Sundareshwara in Tondamandala Adinam, which is totally out of turn. He has got no qualifications whatsoever, and if the Tondamandala Adinam has to be saved from Nityananda, then whoever is responsible for the Tondamandala Adinam, the Saiva Velalar and Mudalayar community people, ranging all the way from Tiruvannamalai to Kanchipuram, you have to come together and you have to stand in front of the Adinam and do a protest like you did in Madurai if you want to get back your Adinam. So please be aware. As soon as the lockdown is over, I am requesting whoever is responsible, the responsible citizens and responsible leaders of those communities, to come forward and save your Adinam. Otherwise your Adinam and all the properties of your Adinam will go into Nityananda's hands. So that being said, so the second point, other than the idols of Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati, rest of the idols in Bidadi are left to rot under the blazing sun, rain and cold. Idols of Perumal, Dakshinamurti under the banyan tree are rotting. I feel so bad for them. So if you don't have an intention to find shade for them, then why consecrate them first of all? This is the question that he is asking to Nityananda. So I am also asking the same question. You want to do so many things, that is fine, But and second problem is, like Kalpalata told yesterday, crores and crores of money has been paid towards this temple project, has been collected towards this temple project. But if you look at what is there physically and what has been collected, you will come to know that only 1/100th or even 1/500th of the portion of the money that was collected was actually spent. Everything else went in the family members of Nityananda's hands, or Nityananda, or whoever is with him. So all that money has been misappropriated. So the problem is this: when you whichever this one idol you are making it with your own face, except Nityanandeshwari. We know whose face is that. So except Nityanandeshwari, all the other idols you are making it with your own face. That itself is disgusting. But even after doing that, people are worshipping. Okay. And it is getting some power. After that has happened, you are simply, leaving that to rot. That is going to affect everybody. That is going to affect every single person who has worshipped that idol, who has consecrated that idol, and who has given money for that idol. That is a great torture that you are doing for that god and goddesses, for those deities, and that will reflect badly upon you. And I will tell you certain things that you can do if you have given money for that once again. And I will tell one example. Actually, there is one park called Sivan Park, okay, in Chennai, near KK Nagar, near the Discovery Book Palace, backside of Discovery Book Palace. There is a park called Sivan Park. And if you go inside, you will find a huge, Kailasha like small setup. And you will find that setup is not made, it will not look like an actual temple, but it will be like one statue of Shiva sitting on top of the Kailasha. Okay, it will be like some 10 feet, 12 feet high, and some 20 by 20 structure. Okay, and there will be a small Ganapati statue and a Muruga statue, stone statues at the base of this, and people will be worshipping there. But it is a public park, government park. Now there is a history behind this Sivan Park, how this came to be. Actually, that area, that ground that belonged to the Vijaya Vahini Productions, now it is Vijaya Vahini Productions, then it was Vahini Studios, belonging to Nagi Reddy and brothers. So what actually happened was, they were taking some movie about Lord Shiva, and what they did, they made this set. This is actually a movie set. They made this movie set of Kailasha, and they kept Shiva and everything there. Okay, and they due to some financial trouble, the shooting was stopped for around 1 year's time, and they let that place be, and they went off. That was just an empty ground where they had this Kailasha movie set created, and they went off. And then when they came back after 1 year to start the shooting again, when the financial trouble was over, they saw that people have actually started worshipping that Shiva. From the local area, whoever was there, they actually started worshipping him. So but this is just a movie set, no consecration, nothing, just a movie set. That is all that is there. Okay, so what they thought was, okay, we have to start shooting, so we will start shooting there. But suddenly Nagi Reddy and some of his advisors, they said, we cannot do that, we cannot disturb that anymore, because people have actually started worshipping it. So if we disturb that, something will happen to us. So what Nagi Reddy did was, he gave that land to the government, and he said, please maintain this temple kind of setup here, and build a park around it, and maintain it as a corporation park, and let people come and worship. Till now, one Gurukul, one priest is coming every day, and he is conducting puja, and then they kept the Ganesha idol there, then the Lord Muruga idol there. He is doing puja to all of these things, which was actually supposed to be just a movie set made out of plaster of Paris. Then it was reinforced later for long lasting effect. Now what has happened here, what we need to understand here is that any idol which has undergone worship, which was built with or without the intention of having worship, that becomes consecrated through the bhakti of people. On the other hand, if a consecrated idol goes without any worship, one more thing, there are many stories, many legends where if you go and ask the people, they will say, yes, I went to Shivan Park, I worshipped that Shiva, and I got this done, I got that done, I got a job. Actually, this Shiva is very, very famous for getting chances for assistant directors and writers in cinema. You will find a lot of assistant directors, doing story discussion and other things around this park. Okay, so that is also giving the blessings. That grace is also there. It is not simply a joke. The grace is also there. On the other hand, when you are consecrating the idol with or without proper consecration process, if people are having faith, then that attains some power. And after attaining this power, daily naivedya, daily abhisheka, daily puja has to happen. Proper shade has to be given. Otherwise, those who have given money for those idols, those who have worshipped those idols, those who have promised about those idols to build a temple, and those who gave money for that purpose, everybody will be affected. Everybody will get the curse from those deities, because you unnecessarily called somebody and you are letting them rot, like I told in my last video. Okay, so that is not supposed to be done. Moving on to the 63rd point. Have you seen a master changing his name so often? Usually a master will be initiated into a Purna Sannyas and final name would be given. Until Samadhi, that name will be maintained. Now how many times has Nityananda changed his name? We can't even keep a track of it. Pull the records of ancient Hinduism, you will see if anyone has done like this. Well, that is the problem. Regarding this name change, I have already related the incident about Anantananda Swamigal and what Periva told about his sannyasa name and the previous name. But here, in case of Nityananda, he is changing the name with a very, very criminal purpose every time. First the Paramahamsa title was there, then he dropped the Paramahamsa title, and then what happened was he said Paramashivam at the end of the name to resemble the Adinams. Because you will find that this Paramashivam title is a title that is given at the end of the name, kept at the end of the name as a honorary title, stating that they have realized Paramashiva. They are in that condition. That is a title which is given for identifying that in case of Saivite monks. So he kept that name, he kept that title after his name, just to resemble. And after that, in the middle, not only changing his name, also changing his lineage. This is the first point that I said. This is the point I have told so many times. If somebody is asking me, why are you against Nityananda, how do you say he is a fake guru? Well, he started with Shankaracharya, he went on to Jnana Sambandha, now some Nityanandeshwari is his guru. That is my problem. He started with Sadashiva, now he has gone to Nityanandeshwara. And now in order to identify more Nityanandeshwara Paramashiva, Nityanandeshwari Parashakti, some nonsense he is just crapping out of his mouth. So that is my problem, is what I have told. So with all these things together, we are probably discussing the same points again and again. It does not mean there is no new material. I am only taking various perspectives of the same material and I am discussing in order to make people realize that there is no bit of credibility that can ever be given to Nityananda. That is the problem. As I told you before, there are so many yoga merchants in India, and I am specifically targeting him because of two reasons. One is he is from my place, Tamil Nadu. Second one is he has fallen to the levels of criminality that nobody else has before. So that is the reason why I am opposing him specifically. That being said, 65th point. Nityananda has, 64th point. So why is he so obsessed with his looks, like his attire, his hair, his makeup? And I have seen him look into the mirror often and adjusting everything before delivering a satsang. He would make sure that adequate lighting will be projected on him to make his dark skin glow like gold. Why is he so obsessed with the external appearance? And why has he forgotten all the other inner parts? Now this is the question. That is, his vanity is of extreme levels. I am not being a sexist here, but normally guys do not care so much about their looks. Women do. Natural this thing. I am not being a sexist here. This is a natural thing. And that is how it is supposed to be. Because it will be disgusting to, look at a guy like, I don't have anything here right now. But, if he is adjusting his hair, he is looking at the mirror every now and then, it will be very, very disgusting to look at. It will not be natural behavior. At the same time, if a woman is totally not maintaining herself, hair is all over the place, that will also be unnatural. So what is natural is the beauty enshrined in the women has to be maintained by them. That is natural to them. And this vanity, if it passes on to a man, then it is abnormal. Then it only means that he is caring so much about his external appearance that He is having a value about himself which is far beyond what is healthy. That is what is called as narcissism. Because Narcissus was a Greek hero who wasted his entire life, who was cursed to waste his entire life looking at his reflection in the pool. And that is exactly what Nityananda is doing. That is exactly what Nityananda is doing. So first thing. Second thing is, as far as I am concerned, the more care that you take about your body and your looks and other things, the lesser inner peace you will have, the lesser spiritual evolution you will have. The more makeup you apply, the more ego you will get. It is not like I am keeping myself pleasant. What is wrong with that? No. You can keep yourself pleasant without powder, without rose powder, without, I do not even know what are the makeup items. Okay, lipstick and then this foundation, and then they are having so many things. No, foundation, gravel, cement, all these things are there. Mud, so many things they are using. Oh, that is civil engineering, not makeup. Okay, it is very, very close, very similar. Okay, so all of these things, mascara, eyelash, so many things, okay, that will only increase your identity with your body, and that is something which has to be avoided. In fact, it is stated that brahmacharis should not even use powder on their face. I don't do that. I hardly use things like perfumes or powder or anything like that until unless it is absolutely necessary for any occasion or anything. Okay, other than that I don't do that. Only grahasthas are allowed to have what is called as, these are called lahiri vastus, luxurious items. So these luxuries only grahasthas are allowed because they have to be like that in order to be attractive to their husbands and their wives, to one another, not to other husbands and wives, but to my husband or to my wife I must be attractive. For that I am doing all these things as a grahastha. Other than that, no other level of life, like let it be vanaprastha or let it be sannyasi, you are supposed to do all the alankara. All the alankara, everything has to be done for the gods, not for you. Krishna Premi Anna, not Krishna Premi Anna, I am sorry, name confusion. Velukudi Anna used to say very beautifully, that is, if you are looking at some jewellery, immediately you should not think how will this jewellery look on my neck. You should think how will this jewellery look on the neck of Tayar or Perumal in your temple, in your area temple. Immediately that should come to your mind. Okay, it should not be like when you are looking at a sari, you should not think like, oh, this sari will be so beautiful for my complexion. Immediately it should be like, if I buy this sari and give it in the temple, and if that archaka is beautifully wrapping this around the Tayar idol, around the goddess Lakshmi idol, then that should be the imagination of yours. That is called bhakti. This is what he is saying. So similarly, whenever you are thinking about yourself, you are being so self-centered like Nityananda is. All of this thing even I discussed with Sarah Landry, that is, all of his disciples, they are also following the same trend and they are becoming narcissists, self-centered people, and that self-centering nature is totally against spirituality, and that is exactly what Nityananda is doing, and that is exactly what Nityananda is promoting. That being said, I will soon be presenting a legal timeline history of Nityananda using the court records which are available in the open. I have a collection of that. I am doing some analysis on that. Please wait for that one as well on the channel. And as I requested you before, kindly provide equal importance to all the videos in the channel. English videos, Tamil videos, whoever is watching, please share more, because that is having very less audience. I want this message to reach more people, and that is just the purpose of the channel. That being said, like, subscribe, bell icon, camphor icon, udubati icon, so many icons are there. Okay, ring everything. तच्चं योरा वृणीमहे गातुं यज्ञाय गातुं यज्ञपतये दैवी स्वस्तिरस्तुनः स्वस्तिर्मानुषेभ्यः ऊर्ध्वञ्जिगादिवेषजं शन्नो अस्तु द्विपते सञ्चतुष्पते ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। नमस्ते श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः।